If you're watching this, it's because you want to see the absolutely wild new pedal that Death by Audio cooked up with Ranger Effects. This is Amp Crash. It's a literal amp in a pedal. Listen, many brands have called a pedal an amp in a stomp box, but this one actually puts an amp inside of a guitar pedal, so let's hear it. Welcome to Get Offset. My name is Emily, and I've got to say, you look stunning today. Look at you, you're glowing. Tell me your secrets in the comments. Death by Audio sent me this pedal to share with you all, but thoughts and opinions are all mine. Ears are all yours though. As I mentioned, this is a collaboration with another one of the most inventive pedal companies around today, Ranger Effects. And let me just give you the gist of Amp Crash. It's a 3-watt amplifier that has an internal 2-inch speaker and a microphone inside of it. I need to explain this before we play it. I'll go through all the controls, but if you want to skip that and go straight to sounds, hit the timestamp in the video description instead of leaving a nasty comment that says I talk too much. And usually with the wrong form of the word too. You want the one with 2 O's in that sentence, by the way. T-O-O. At the top of Amp Crash, you'll see input. That's for your instrument. You'll also see output on the far left there. That can plug into an amp, another pedal, an audio interface, or powered speaker. There's also an external speaker out. Probably don't plug that into another pedal or an amp. You can, however, plug that into an external passive speaker rated at a minimum of 8 ohms, which most guitar speakers are at least 8 ohms, some 16, but please double check, especially if you're using a bass cabinet. The controls underneath the outputs are DI out and mic out. Both go through that far left output. The DI out is the level of the internal amplifier sound, while mic out is the gain on the internal microphone. You can blend those two signals together until you get the sound you want, and we will absolutely do that, don't you worry. The benefit of the mic out over just the DI out is to capture the actual sound of the amp, because again, there's a real little amplifier speaker in there. You get the movement of the air, sure, but you also get room ambiance, feedback, and other wild stuff. I think this is the heart of the pedal personally, and I don't think anyone could disagree with me on that, but if you do, let me know. There's also a mic gate switch right there to enable a noise gate, which is triggered by the internal input. I'll have this on during my entire demo. Gain is the gain of the internal amplifier. When in overload, you can, quote, expect gnarly oscillations. Tone shapes the EQ from bassy to bright. I like it a little bit brighter. SFX selector right there allows you to choose between a digital reverb, a classic tape echo, and a rich 3-dimensional chorus. Every effect has a depth control and a time control. I'll talk about what each of them are when we get there. One last thing to note before I start playing, I will be doing a bit of work in post-production leveling out volume. Like a lot of Death by Audio pedals, this thing can get punishingly loud, and I wouldn't want it any other way. I'm trying to err on the side of not clipping, so the input gain on my audio interface is down. As I bleed in the mic out, there will be a jump in volume, so I've set my levels fully around the mic out, and I think that's probably not a bad idea for you to do too. All right, let's hear this thing. I'm playing my Black Bobbin Fantone, which is just beautiful, through the Benson Chimera plugin from Mixwave. I'm going to start with the DI out, but engaged by itself, gain at a modest 3, tone at 2 o'clock or so, and I have both reverb controls at 9. Here's my clean tone. And with the pedal on, DI only. That's about as polite as this pedal gets, but even there, it has that really nice lo-fi kind of tone. This whole pedal just feels like garage rock in a box in the best possible way. But let's hear it with some more gain. Actually, first, I'm going to sweep that EQ a little bit just so you can hear it. And now let's crank the gain. Unsurprisingly, that's a really cool, gnarly overdrive with good texture. After 7, it starts to overload, which, to be honest, I've been a little bit timid about. I promise we'll do it though. I'm gonna drop the gain back down because the magic really happens when you engage the mic out on this pedal. Let's blend that in. Gain at 3, DI still at noon. With the gain down, you still get really nice garagey overdriven tones. Around 10 and then up to noon, it's super lo-fi. It's a cranked little amp. It gets nasty fast. That's a sound you either love or hate. I personally love it, but I've listened to more than my fair share of like Goner Records bands. You have to hear this when we crank the gain. Like, it gets disgusting complimentary. Oh my God. So clearly it gets nasty. That's not completely untamed though. Obviously, we're all going to have different preferred levels of sonic destruction. I like the mic level between 9 and noon. You might want more. I think my favorite gain level is around 4, so I'll scoot it back down. It's around 4. Yeah, even there it has a killer growl. I want to keep this video moving, so I want to show you the other effects. Reverb is my personal favorite, but we also have delay and chorus. For delay, depth is controlling blend and feedback at the same time. Time is time. Let's keep depth at 9 and move time to noon. Same settings, this time the chorus. Yeah, honestly, if I'm not running a reverb after this, I really prefer the reverb and the delay, but I generally dig the chorus. They're all fun. Last thing I want to do is really max this little speaker out. We haven't hit the overload territory yet, and I haven't on my own, so let's try it together. And let's keep the reverb up, why not? Shocker, it sounds great and shakes the house. I have a sneaky feeling, this is just like my theory, that Death by Audio, they really seem to tune these pedals to sound best, just completely maxed out. That wouldn't surprise me if that's exactly what they do. I'd love to know. Oh my God. So real quick, when I film these videos, I mute my overhead mic during the playing section so you don't have to hear the strumming noises and stuff like that. However, it also means you haven't heard this pedal by itself. As you know, I feel like maybe I've belabored the point, there's a little itty bitty speaker in this. What you might not really have grasped is that it's always on unless you plug something into the external speaker out. You might not hear it when it's on your feet on your pedal board, but you can totally hear it very clearly when you're playing from home. Let me turn off my little playback speakers. These are some Mackies, so you can really hear this thing. I'll leave the overhead on. So yeah, listen. So yeah, you can absolutely use this thing as a little practice amp, and I think that's neat. Now I'm going to take a moment, reset my filming setup here so you can hear this thing through a passive speaker cabinet. Well, that was fast. I have the external speaker out from the amp crash plugged into my trusty passive cabinet, the one I actually gig with a lot. It has an 8 ohm 12-inch ceramic Jupiter speaker in it. I forget the wattage, I think it's 25. And the microphone is a trusty Sennheiser E906. Plugging in an external speaker turns off the internal 2-inch speaker. I still have the direct signal going to my Benson Chimera plugin, and I'm recording with that as well. There might be sections where I blend the two sounds, but I'll let you know if I do so via text on the screen or by saying it out loud. Just an FYI, neither the DI volume nor the mic volume controls affect the cab signal. All the other knobs work as they otherwise would. Turning up gain will make the passive cab signal louder, but obviously it also increases the gain, the kind of distorted, overdriven signal. Just like before, I anticipate leveling the volume a little bit manually in post-production for a better viewing and listening experience. So just know that when the gain is down, it's a little bit quieter, and when it's up, it's louder. Let's hear it. Just the mic'd cab, gain at 3. I'm hoping that's pretty well isolated. I am right next to the microphone, so I hope you're mostly getting the cabinet. Those are some pretty decent cleans. They have a nice vintage amp sounding character to them. I genuinely really like that. That's not going to keep up with a drummer on the stage without being mic'd, so keep that in mind. It packs a bit more of a punch than I expected from a 3-watt amp. If you're using a 16 ohm cabinet, it will be quieter even than that because math, which is to say if this is rated 3 watts through an 8 ohm speaker, it'll be about 1.5 watts through a 16 ohm speaker, which 1 watt amps can sound pretty cool. Let's crank up the gain and play some more. Woo! This is about 7, so this is just before overload. Let's overload it. So it definitely does oscillate. That sounds so sick. I really wish I could do that for a lot longer. That sounds really good. If you're playing this thing maxed out, it might be able to keep up on its own with a drummer. I still think you'd want to mic it up, but one last thing I want to do is I want to do a little bit of a blended signal thing with the Chimera plugin and this with the let's do the gain at about noon. I think that's kind of a fun place for it. So let's hear it. I gotta be honest, I wish I had more time with this before I have to get this video out, because I have so many thoughts in my head on things that I would like to do with this pedal, ways I would like to use it, like obviously using other effects both into it and coming out of it, different dual amp setups, because I think this is a really cool use case to basically have like a dual mono or two different amps kinds of thing on stage, where one's just a passive cab and one is maybe a combo amp or something. I'd also like to use it with the Seymour Duncan power stage instead of the internal speaker output, the built-in speaker output, I should say, because I would love to hear that itty bitty little microphone going through another cab just to see how it sounds. I think it'd be kind of interesting to try, but I'd like to know, like, let me know in the comments, how can you see yourself using this pedal on a pedal board or in the studio? What kind of creative things would you like to see? And maybe I'll be able to do some of those things in future shorts, so keep an eye out for that. I think it's really cool that you could use this on your pedal board and power a passive cabinet. Again, it's a decent volume with the gain cranked through an 8 ohm speaker, but you do lose that awesome busted sounding 2-inch speaker, which is too bad but understandable. I don't think you'd want to send the plain DI signal to front of house at a gig unless you were also running a cab sim, or even better, an amp and cab sim, but you could run a very gnarly dual amp setup with this thing, and I love that. I'm genuinely a big fan of this pedal, so thanks to Death by Audio for letting me check it out. If you decide to buy this pedal or want something else from DBA, check out the link in the video description and top comment. I'll also have general affiliate links if you want to buy other things to support the channel. If you liked this video, please check out the one on the screen, which features another Death by Audio pedal. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for understanding. Until next time, my name is Emily. Goodbye.